Hey everyone, we're on vlog 3. So for those of you who may not know, I decided to do 100 days of consistency. I've struggled with being consistent for many years of my life. And I think a lot of that issue with consistency has something to do with fear. And I think if I share and vlog it, one will hold me accountable. And it's just me being consistent with working out and going really hard with promoting myself as a freelancer and also just being vulnerable. I've had issues with vulnerability. So today's theme will be about my work as a cam op for so many years. I do work now mostly as a cinematographer, but I still love cam opping and I still like to cam op, and I'll explain why. But I started camera opping in 2009. Yeah, around that time. It was fresh out of school. I went to film school and I decided I was working like a cam op or like a videographer or whatever for different jobs, right? But over time, when I went back home, it was like the AV industry was pretty hot and broadcast and like live TV was hot on the East Coast. So I didn't know much about it. And this is like the sports lenses and the Fuji non-glass and the studio cams with the 2 tripods, and you're pulling your own focus and zooming for yourself on these control handles. And so just that was a little different, but it was simple math for me because I mean, I came from loading film, and anything outside of loading film and working in the film world kind of felt easy for me to kind of translate. However, when you're shooting live and shooting broadcast, you have to be really good at your movements, right? Really smooth with your movements, knowing when to anticipate a person's actions so that you can kind of seem seamless, almost like an extension of that person that you are attached to or persons. And it's almost like a dance, and it's pretty cool that way. So I'm really good at like being attentive to body language, so I kind of flew into it pretty easily once I got in. But I want to talk a little bit about business and getting into it. Yeah, there are numerous sites that they tell you to use to kind of get work, and no like bad news to the sites or talking bad on the sites. But I never got any work from these, but I'm going to list them because I know people who have. Staff Me Up, it was Production Hub, Mandy.com. But I did back in the day get a lot of work from Craigslist, but that's not how I ended up cam opping when I moved back to like the north East Coast from Miami. The way I ended up stumbling upon getting more work is I started to Google production companies in my area that were successful. First, I went to rental houses, and I would go to like the G&E rental houses, the camera rental houses, and ask questions. Everyone would just look at me like, you know, I guess they're just accustomed to people always saying, how can I get on? How could I get on? And they're like, yeah, you know, you gotta reach out to someone, you work your way from the bottom to the top. Did you AC? Little do they know, I'm like, yo, I used to load film. No one believed me. I'll AC for music videos in Miami. I did this already. I started off as an intern PA, and I did it for numerous jobs. Nobody cared about that. Resumes, nobody cared about that. Degrees, nobody cared. And so it was no way that I could prove myself that I can cam op. But what I learned is, and this is something that people might be like, oh, she, you know, saying whatever, but, and not to put doubt in anybody's mind, but when people thought about a person behind camera, the idea, the icon, the emoji-con in a way, was a middle-aged white man. I was in my 20s with locks, black young girl. There was no way that I had that skill set in their minds. There was no way I was as good as I said that I was, because I did not look like the image that was synonymous with the job. And so how did I get there? Well, I had to work my way from the bottom like everybody said, but it didn't take me long. What I ended up doing was find these production companies. There's nobody in the rental houses was trying to put me on. They would like give me scraps and treat me like a student. But at that time I was out of school for a couple of years. And so I found these production companies and said, all right, I'll be a stagehand, I'll GAV, or I'll PA, or I'll AC. Soon as I get that job, whenever someone needed someone to operate the camera, I'll take the camera from the operator if they wasn't there. I wouldn't like rough the operator. But what I would do is, if they were late or if they didn't get there, I would literally, if the DP or the director needed to see a shot really quick, I would get up on camera and do it and know what I'm doing. And so this was not only for studio cameras, also for like docs and sports and things like that. I would literally constantly try to audition myself so that they can see that I knew what I was talking about. And then they'll ask, why aren't you cam hopping? And I'll just be like, I tried. I've sent my resume actually to you. I've emailed you, but you guys put me in this position. Anyways, the way I got into it was, at least in the DC side, on the studio cam live events and live broadcast stuff, it was with this guy's company, and he had me as GAV for an event. And there was a project manager. The cam op was running extremely late. And the client was this young, hip, cool black woman. And the PM was really smart. He made it, he said, look, we're running behind. We literally want to go to show pretty soon. Can somebody, I heard him kept talking. Can anybody here know how to build a camera? All these guys were pressed to get into the camera op position because the way GAV saw it was this was an easier job, less labor taxing, right? And more pay. They were all like, yeah, I know how to do it. The problem is while they were saying, yeah, I knew how to do it, I was already at the case building the camera. By the time I built the camera up, because I heard that he needed something, another thing, and this is like a tactic they say for sales, if there's a need, you need to make sure that you are the person that can provide for that need, right? And if you are, and you come to it and you know you have the skill set, then it's boom, it's done. Everything is done at that point. So anyway, I built the camera up, and by the time the woman, the client, walk in, she see me behind camera, she assumed I'm the cam op. She was like, yo, a sister in the cam op? Like, that's dope. That's their client. It must have been a new client. So now he's in a bit of a pickle because for his new client, he has to make me look good. So he has to make me be the cam op, right? And so anyways, the guy runs in mad late, and I'm already behind camera. So they made him sit behind the desk with the rest of the folks. And the dude was mad cool, though. He was just like, my bad, da, da, da. He kind of worked for them full time. They kind of just throw him on camera. The woman I was smooth. There was people walking. I knew when to zoom out because I saw a person immediately. You're not only looking through the camera, right? You're looking at what's happening live. I saw someone walking up to stage. I'm the only cam op. So I'm on this tight shot of her. I'm slowly easing out, so much so that you can't really notice the abruptness of the wide coming in. By the time the person hit the stage, you see both of them together. It's now a two shot. By the time they sit down, I follow them sitting down. I'm in a two shot. And then when they're talking, I knew when to go in, when to leave, when to make these moves. By the time the show was done, the guy was like, you did a great job. Do you always cam op? He told the guy that runs the company, your cam op is really dope. After that, the rest was history. Everybody was booking me. However, every time I walked to set or production, I would walk in and they would push me and say, oh, are you client or are you a hand? And I'm like, I'm the cam op. And they're like, okay. And then they're constantly, all these like older white guys are watching me, making sure I don't break anything, or they were trying to be nice. Like, do you know what, some of them weren't. They were like, do you know what you're doing? Do you need help? Some of the ones that said, do you need help? Things like that. So for many years, I just kept having to constantly tell people I'm here for this job. And it was irritating at first, but I just learned to just prove them wrong. And so I really, really want this vlog to be about how I overcame dealing with a lot of people of color. We talk about adversity, and we deal with it. Regardless if people want to say, oh, things have changed. They have. However, there are still moments in these same industries where there's a lot of old folks there that when you see someone young or you see someone of color or in the gender or the phenotype of a woman, you may assume that they may need help. And I understand it, or they may not be qualified and it's only because of what icon or what image has been synonymous with the job. Even when you hit up these folks on the streets and you try and shoot music videos or be a videographer, they're like, yo, I've heard people say this. I need you to give me a young, cool, tighted white boy. If you look at the top YouTubers that are teaching filmmaking, these cool, young white boys, right? Or not even that young, just cool redheads or really cool white cats. And they're actually pretty dope, though. Don't get me wrong, they're pretty dope at what they do. And they're mad skilled, so they really deserve what they're getting. However, people put that image with the job. And then they'll say it's hard to find more people of color behind camera, more women or more young people that are really skilled and know what they're doing. And hopefully with social media and the skill sets that we have with marketing ourselves and putting ourselves out there can allow that whole idea to change. A lot of people can argue that this is false, and I'm down to hear everybody's comments on that, but I'm just telling you how I got there. I did do the Mandy, I did all those websites, I did Craigslist, but what I really did was Google these production companies, pulled up to their doorstep and told them I had a skill set. And then I got into the job since they denied the fact that I had the skill set, got into the job, and when the door opened, I tackled that. I tackled the position and I knew I was skilled, so you have to really trust yourself in doing that. Do I cam op as often as I DP these days? No, I DP more because that was the end goal. However, I still love cam opping, and I'll end it like this. I really still love cam opping because it allows me to work with people I idolize in the cinematography space. It also allows me to be in spaces with other directors that I want to meet. And it allows me to learn from these cinematographers, you know, because they're hiring you because they like your eye. They trust in your skill set as a cam op. But then the other thing is that I get to be around some of my film family that I don't get to be around often. And I get to meet new crew members that I can hire for myself. And also I just like to kick it with the homies. You know, sometimes being in the mindset as the cinematographer or the producer or the director, it's a lot what you're in control of. You know, you're using another part of your brain in addition to the art and the technical side. When if anything goes wrong, as long as I got the shot, everything else is not on me. It's like kind of stress-free day, you know. Jib op, gimbal op, flew drones, handheld, studio, a lot of broadcasts. I spent about 8 years of my life doing that and that only. But then just anything except for Steadicam. I'm not even gonna try to get that. I'm not gonna do that. But I know some dope Steadicam ops, they're fire. That's their thing. I'm not about to be on a gimbal either, on those like boards. I can't skateboard. I'm not about to do all that either. Neither am I a diver because I can't swim. That's going to be the next challenge I put up, that I need to learn how to swim. But everything else, I'm a fire cam op that has helped me become the best cinematographer I can be today. So again, to recap, this video is about seizing the moment, knowing what your end goal is, and staying focused. And it doesn't matter if you tried sites that people say work and it didn't work for you. Try another route, try another route, try another route, because if you know your purpose and you know where you want to go, just